Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am proud and happy to bring you another Tribunal stage matchup. This is our first quarter-final, and it is between HonMonO, who defeated Doglived in a 5-game set blazing fast, and Ouya, our first seeded player of the tournament, and the favorite to take the whole damn thing. Ouya is a Starcraft 1 pro player from Sweden, and he is also our eggshell blue, no, turquoise Protoss, whereas HonMonO is our dark bronze Terran. And we are on Rage Slave for map number 1. Our next map, picked by none other than HonMonO, is Mass Destruction, a 4-spawn map, so we will be treated to some nice ones at the start of it all, and it will be a bio opener once more for Ouya to deal with. HonMonO will probably go for his patented Cyprian Expand. We do have a 2-gate start here. Ouya moving his scribe up to the top left. You know what's really funny is before any balance changes came in and, you know, before we had any tweaks to the durability of units or anything like that, even before some of the more balance changes that came in like more recently than that, that are actually on the current release patch, which of course this tournament is played on, back then, right, Ouya was at one point struggling with Aeud's Terran, and at a certain point, he just kind of cracked the code and started beating Aeud. I think it was something like 4-to-1 on a ratio, according to what Aeud said, or something like that. He just doesn't have as much of a win rate when it comes to that matchup here in TVP anymore. And so I'm really interested in seeing Ouya's level. I believe he just came home from work to get this game played, by the way. So just to give some idea. I believe so. I didn't actually confirm that with him just yet. Looks like the Cyprian will be shooing away the scribe. And Drakiden is now leaving. We're going to have some light 2-gate pressure here. Anchor has begun. That anchor might not finish in time to shield the Cyprians from full damage from the Drakiden, but I think it'll finish in time that we won't be too hurting here. The Ministry will finish up soon as well. 3rd Cyprian on the way. A lack of fast, Zealot or Legionnaire pressure is certainly going to help HonMonO not grab the Huracan early, get to a good number of Cyprians to hold early aggression, and well, his Ministry is going to go ahead and finish pretty soon, and is just going to add a Rogue Gallery in response. Something that has been circulating in the StarCraft 2 space lately is the fact that we have a bit of a different story when it comes to the Dark Templar Blink. That's a thing that seems to be happening a bit more now with the live patch, allowing you to have better attacks, better attack timings. And I'm wondering if maybe Ouya is thinking about something similar, not because I think he pays attention to StarCraft 2, he's a Brood War player, of course. But I'm wondering if Ouya maybe is thinking some sort of parallel thinking about that sort of thing and saying, hey, I'm going to go ahead and build some Kabbalists and try to burst down this anchor really fast with my Drakiden. Something like that, similar to how Dark Templar and StarCraft 2 are used to blink down Planetary Fortress. So that's a small buff to Protoss that happened recently so that you can try to do a little bit more of that. Going up to 5 Stockade, HonMonO will have some Cyprians behind the anchor. He's obviously tried to move out a little bit, and he's being soft-contained. We do have a later expand for Ouya, Protoss player falling behind in workers, but the first Kabbalist is nearly complete, and more Drakidens are streaming across the map with that Nexus beginning to warp in. So I'm really interested in seeing where this all ends up going for HonMonO, how easy it is for him to hold. He's going to try to poke out again, but you got to be cognizant of the dangers here and see Ouya pre-splitting, pre-concaving. And yeah, we're going to need a lot more. Really what we need is Huracans right now, and HonMonO is kind of recognizing that. Rend the armor of the Zealot, allow him to penetrate it, and now here comes the Kabbalist. And not being used as a linchpin to kill the anchor, instead infiltrating the main base and starting to heckle some of the workers. So this is as HonMonO is planning to move out. He is going to need to cycle back, re-garrison that anchor, and pull the army. He's pulling a lot of the army, though. And the Kabbalist is going to go ahead and get up to 3 kills, but really, he needs to also defend. A 4th kill as well, damn. And he needs to be able to defend this anchor. This is like an easy setup here, where it feels like Ouya's just figured out the details. And, well, the response hasn't been great for HonMonO. Remember, he is up by a considerable amount of workers, so it's okay if he ends up losing some, but there is still action inside the main base. That Kabbalist will finally be put down. Mason's not quite repairing the Cyprians, and the Drakidens were able to finish them off. And so it does feel like Ouya is going to take a significant edge here. with some of these Masons going down. We got more Cyprians where that came from, and HonMonO has definitely shown that the Cyprian-based army can do a lot of damage here, but I don't think he's got enough meat in this army. He's switched into Mavericks, but he isn't stimming them. He definitely needs to stim them. And here comes a Cabbalist to make matters even worse, although it does go after the perhaps the wrong target there. But yeah, there's still 4 Drakodons at large in HonMonO's base. He has the 3rd Ministry, so he can catch back up in workers surprisingly quickly here if he can actually evict Oya from his natural. Pylon to expand the build radius. Quizzical location, I would probably put it up here, but I'm not a pro player, so I will not, I will certainly not judge Oya harshly. Setting back up for the 3 Ministry production on local ground. Love to see HonMonO queue up some more. He's just trying to hold on right now. The anchor obviously falling. I think you could see a recipe for HonMonO to respond to that better if he just kind of pulls only a few units to respond to the Cabbalist, and he just pinches off like 2 Harak and 1 Cyprian and does his best to finish off the Cabbalist there. Honestly, if they go after your workers, you're fine because you have more workers than them. If you go after your military, you're fine because your workers are safe. But now he's not mining from his natural. Now his tech is very heavily delayed, and it's going to be a while before he can actually properly deal with this army down here in the concave. We've got more Drakodons reinforcing. We've got Vagrants on the way. A Unitary Union is incoming as well. Extra gateway being added. Cyprian's on the high ground, finding a nice little vantage point to force Oya out of the natural. But it's going to be some time before he can properly retake that. Looks like he wants to try his luck already. HonMonO, our South Korean Terran pro from Starcraft 2, is going to be going up against one of the best in Cosmonarchy. I'd actually say that Oya probably is, at least reportedly. But also from what eye test that I've had. He probably is our best player, Ayud was that for some time. Obviously, Hit 'em Up won the most recent event and then went into a sabbatical/retirement state. And he's inactive and he'll become active again later. Yeah, it does feel like Oya is the top dog to beat right now. Able to beat Zeki, able to beat Ayud, able to beat all the guys that you would be worrying about on a normal circumstance. So we'll see if that holds true, if the meta continues to be stable. Going up to 5 gate with the Unitary Union making Asilience, one of Oya's favorite units. And it does feel like, well, this very small, paltry army from HonMonO is unlikely to turn the tide. He does end up stimming his Mavericks at the very least, but I mean, the concave is so beautiful here. The Harakans can't connect on all of the different Drakodons, and the Cyprians then cannot penetrate all of the different Drakodons. So it's very, very well done by Oya. However, it does feel like that firepower, even though he ends up losing 4 Cyprians in the fight, still going to be worth some nice boon there. One thing to point out here, no Shaman, no Cleric or anything like that, and still stuck on the 5 Stockade. Going to go ahead and land the 3rd base. The Nexus for the mineral only now coming into fruition. And HonMonO has caught up in workers thanks to that 3rd Ministry, right? So we still actually do have a live game here. The question is, will the tech development from Oya eventually outclass HonMonO's Tier 1 army? And I would say that the answer should be yes, but he's done great things with Harak and Cyprian. And it's always good, I think, to have some Mavericks on hand to just sort of stim down individual targets or what have you, while the Harakans bide time and the Cyprians splash things. Especially when you're dealing with Oya doing all these concave tricks. This is, by the way, this Rage Slave map that we see here is a port of Neo Rush Hour. It's going to be an interesting time to see whether or not this map gets more usage over time, if people end up enjoying it. It's definitely a map that you can do a lot of drops on, so I like that idea, of course. But we seem to be pretty far away from drops. Oh, dear. Oh, golly gee willikers, Batman. I don't know if this Assilient can even escape after you pop the pylon, to be honest, but embassies are on the way. If it can't escape, that's probably a map issue we should try and fix. But that is that's unfortunate, isn't it? He has one with the army still. That's not the end of the world, perhaps. Keep an eye out on that one. I can tell you guys a little bit about the map veto between these two players. It was Acid Test banned by Oya and HonMonO banned Battle Spectre. I later found out that HonMonO doesn't, for whatever reason, his client does not seem to load the images of the map. Ooh. Mason scouting at this time is really funny, and him finding an Ancestral Archives is also pretty funny. Taking a 4th base on the low ground, on location, of course. HonMonO has no fear, but Oyo will end up stamping that out. HonMonO wasn't able to see the map preview images there, and so he just banned it based on name of the map. So he bans Battle Spectre, and his second round ban is Paradise. So I don't know what that says about HonMonO, that I don't want to play on Battle Spectre, and I don't want to play on a map called Paradise. It's like, okay, all right. Battle Spectre is a spooky name, so I can kind of get that. Frosted Forest was the second round ban for Oya. So we had Rage Slave pick, Mass Destruction pick by HonMonO. And that's where our first 2 maps are going to go. A little bit of an infiltration here at the rally point where there's a bunch of Harakans and a single Shaman. You can see the Bio Ball slowly turning into a Bio Line. Trying to come on back down here and riposte this assault. The first Sicilian strikes are active. Shooing away the Mason that's trying to build there. Really, he's got to get used to just building a Ministry on this spot. But he's adding more stockades instead. He's got up to a dozen stockades, and he's going to go ahead and put down 2 more. Soon he's going to have to deal with the Optecton, though. I think, yeah, I have a feeling that this is not going to go the same way that it went versus Doglived. A couple idle workers here for Oya, setting up his 4th base at the high ground after denying the 4th base from his Terran opponent. Stim Mavericks are going to chase after some of the Zealots, and it feels like maybe there's a chance here for HonMonO to scoot down this ramp and see if he can scoot up this one. There's not really that much splash damage with Oya's army. I say that, of course, the Optecton is about to finish. Envoy was made. I wonder what it's going to be used for. It looks like maybe it just scooped up the Asiliant that was stuck in there for now. All right, he's got a big engagement on multiple fronts. Trying to chase down the Asiliants with melee units is feels like a fool's errand, but perhaps it'll still be a possibility because you can see the bounces are still going. That's a funny shot from the Optecton. Little trick shot there. The Harakan must have been inside it, basically. Absolutely goobered. Well, there's a lot of units that are dying at the bottom of that ramp. At least the Clerics are trying to heal respective to the Asiliant. But, he's actually going to pinch him down with a bunch of Mavericks at the end. That's a really good catch. He is losing the war down here, of course, courtesy of that Optecton, at least in part. He's kept a significant chunk of his body. I would say, roughly speaking, that was an even army trade between these 2 players. And we still have a lot of Cyprians for heavy hitters. Some of those Asiliants pretty low. Optecton scrambling back up the ramp as best it can. A missed opportunity to finish off one of the Asiliants, and another big stack of bio coming as well. Think about the remax potential here in favor of HonMonO. 14 Harakans being made. Man's got 14 stockades and a 4th base that has been set up slightly off-center on the low ground. So soon they will be on even mining. Worker count slightly better for Oya here, and of course saturation split better. This engagement much better. Look at this. He's going to be way more cost efficient when he's not fighting a war on multiple fronts, when the Harakans aren't able to get onto the front line, when the Shamans are popped so that there's no healing. The Clerics are all dead as well on the ground. Feeling pretty dangerous here. Another blob pops down. Looks like another 2 macro cycles or so of stockade units, but all of the first army is basically dead now. And Atlas has begun construction inside the main base of HonMonO. He is building it near his geyser. He's withdrawn all the way back to his 4th base, which he'll likely have to abandon here, but he does have a pretty big counterpunch at the ready. And even though there's an Optecton here, not much is guarding it, so there's still an opportunity. Although, ironically, I would say Mavericks are going to be better at dealing with the Optecton than Cyprians are, but you definitely need that Harakan. Armor End is going to be good at first. Remember that Optecton is here, and will initially start doing stuff, but remember all those units that you can go for. Ministry actually just gets torn asunder, and the rally has been reset as HonMonO tries to dive onto Oya. Outside is natural. Honestly, it's still a bit of a close game. I don't think this ball of Oya's Protoss can be stopped, but at the same time, the Optecton's very close to being killed, and there it goes. It will not get another shot. Maybe the gateway units can still clean that up, though, and no reinforcements are headed to the warfront. Instead, HonMonO trying to defend here and now at his mineral-only 3rd base. The Harakans attempting to descend upon the Draconans, but I think that's going to be the crushing blow. He's got more Cyprians coming, but The cliff advantage is no longer with him, and he calls GG, knowing he's not going to be able to wrap around the whole length of the map to get at those up-tectons. Wow, like 19 and 24 frags. I'm sure much more damage than even that. And the, last couple kills getting picked up by some of those gateway units or the Asilians. Great composition there from Ouya. And honestly, a really good fight from HonMonO. I mean, we saw the writing on the wall when we saw the tech disparity. That's not something that Tier 1 Terran Bio is necessarily going to be able to come back from. But there might be something to HonMonO's absolutely absurd strategy. If he goes for like 3 star pads at some point and just starts hot dropping Hurricanes onto him, maybe Terran Bio is actually just fine into Tier 4 Protoss. What can I say, guys? Maybe Ahmed is that good. All right, well, we go into game 2 in just a moment. It is game 2 time. Ouya with the maroon Protoss in the bottom left of mass destruction. It's HonMonO, our Ultramarine Terran. I almost said Zafir, but it is not Zafir. How to pronounce Zafir? Any OG homies may remember that video title. It is going to be HonMonO in the bottom right. So this is his map pick, but I don't know if he puts much strategy or thought into the map picks. He did end up picking Crisis Vector as his second round pick, so that will be map 4. If he can, extend play versus Ouya, which I would give him a fair shot at, honestly. You look at the way that he played map 1, from a bit of a deficit in the early game, still managed to make it somewhat close. That push ended up being scary. I think other Protosses typically don't make as many gateways as Ouya does. He made like 5-6 gateways or something in the mid game. That's a thing that you got to watch out for as Protoss. If you don't have if you're relying just on purely on the tech and you're not going to have the numbers, then when your army moves across the map, a counterattack can deal with you. And Terran is notorious for being able to hold a lot, but usually that's when you're factoring in phalanx or something, right? Look at this. Oh, okay. I got to hold my comments because HonMonO is going Ministry first, and he will likely go ahead and build a stockade right here in the wall, so to speak. Yep, there it is. So this will be scouted pretty fast by Ouya in theory, but he's box scouting and he's gone the wrong direction. Perfect opening here for our Terran if he wants to extend play. I say perfect. It might not be because the Zealot will most likely move to the bottom right as opposed to remaining back at home. I don't think Protoss is particularly scared of anything that Terran can do in the super early game. But we're going to see the 2 stockade follow-up to the Ministry first. We're going to see quite a bit in terms of early military then. We will need to see something other than a Cyprian first from HonMonO. And I think, he doesn't have the Vespene for it. He's only now going for some Vespene. But yeah, we're going to need to see him go for like Maverick, Hurricane, something like that, just so that he can hold on versus the Zealot. If he gets like, honestly, you might only need 1 Hurricane, 1 Maverick with the right micro. We're going to see what he wants to do. Is he actually going to wait for Cyprian gas? I think he is. Yeah, he's spending his minerals on the Masons instead. Oh, this is painful. He goes for the Cyprian at the end of the day. The Zealot comes in and sees a full Ministry. I mean, you're going to have to deal with this guy very painfully. Just in case anyone was wondering, it takes 5 Zealot hits to kill a Mason. So after 4, you can pull your Mason away. But it doesn't really feel like HonMonO wants to do that. I'm not impressed so far by this little display. He's starting to micro his Mason a little bit. I don't know if they had to play on a higher latency or anything. We had an American admin in Jujik. We had a Swedish Protoss and a South Korean Terran. So we're all around the world right now. I'm not entirely convinced about the latency, right? Now this Zealot has full shields again. That will kill that Cyprian. Make no bones about it. Oh, just barely not. Never mind. I am a fraud. Cyprians are better than I thought. He's going to go ahead and make another one and stuff it into that anchor most likely. But now we've got 2 Zealots, and that means that they only need 3 salvos to kill a Mason. Trying to go ahead and get on top of that Cyprian. We got a Maverick. It's going to go ahead and stim. Remember, HonMonO has half the workers, but double the worker production, so he can catch up here over enough time scale. Cyprian is felled. Second anchor on the way. What do we have? Okay, we have double Dracodon, so you do need to respect that. But it's only 1 Cyprian. And this is not a complete wall either, so this does feel like I could just walk through here if I'm the Protoss. Yeah, see ya. The 1 Maverick stimming around trying to kill the Zealot. Still shutting down so much mining. He has no money, and he has to call GG just based on there. Miss, he said. It's okay. I don't know what miss means here. I guess mistake, probably? Like, he made a mistake? I'm still confusing. You are sometimes confusing, HonMonO. Ah, there was some sort of misclick with the hockey, I guess. Okay, he's still learning. He's still learning. All right, boys. That is going to be a wrap on Game 2, and now Oya moves into Series Point. This is a best of 5, but it is single elimination, which is pretty deadly here. It does mean that if HonMonO loses our next game, or any of the next games, if he's not able to do a whole reverse sweep, we will be saying goodbye to our South Korean pro from StarCraft 2. But listen, this is how I expected things to go. I expected sometimes HonMonO would open greedy and get punished. I expected sometimes when it wasn't like that, Oya would just have a better answer. And I will say, HonMonO plays a very different style. If he is able to get his style up, we'll be seeing a really, really nice display in game number 3. And I'm hoping that that's exactly what we've got cooking. So ladies and gentlemen, join me for game number 3 on Patadia coming up. Here we go. Oya is our green Protoss in the bottom right. HonMonO is our Alice Blue? Electric Blue Terran in the top left. I can tell when I haven't casted for a little bit because my color guesses on like the blues are really off. That's for sure. I don't know why that is. HonMonO trying to defend his honor, trying to put on a good game. I thought game 1 was very impressive, actually, the way that he extended play for so long. But I do think he needs some kind of transition point away from the stockade spam, or something that complements it, right? In Cosmonarchy, we have so many different units, so many different tools, that you are, in theory, supposed to be able to use to comprehensively update your unit composition to complement your unit composition. So you have shamans that, complement the Hurricanes because they stay alive longer and tank longer, and that in turn complements the Cyprians and the Mavericks because they're in the back line or mid line, and that's able to shoot for longer and do their damage for longer, and also the armor end complements the Cyprians. So that's like all self-synergy within the stockade. And you think about clerics to boost the armor as well, can be very good in certain contexts. But these are all like things that are entirely related to the stockade. There were 2 more stockade units that weren't even built, weren't even made by HonMonO in that long game 1. It feels like he could have done a little bit there. Is this a 1-gate expand? It looks like it is, yes. And of course, HonMonO is going for a much more aggressive 3 stockade opener with the intent of driving the stake in. This looks pretty good for him. He's going to go up against, very small numbers of units, and he's making those Cyprians very quickly. HonMonO abandoning his early expand ideas. Well, I guess we might end up seeing our 4th map after all. The second map pick of HonMonO, again, is Crisis Vector, a very familiar map. And if we need our decider, if we get another 5-game set in the Tribunal stage, which has been delivering so far, we will end up seeing a Punch Drunk, the Port of Knockout. Patadia is an original map. So it is not a port of anything, and Mass Destruction is a port of oil flow. That was the last map that we were just on, the desert map. Zealot moving on from Oya to scout things out. It's going to come up against 3 Cyprians. And that'll be a far cry from where it was before, right? What was going on before. Rogue Gallery on the way. Oya will have some tools at his disposal. Let's see how fast he responds to this. He's going to take a fair amount of damage on that Zealot. That's not a trivial amount. Ends up canceling out whatever that was. Okay, he just wanted to realign it. It's going to be a second gateway. I'd love to see him put some static defense down here, but he doesn't have any workers with which to do that just yet. And HonMonO is not actually moving out. But I'd be a little bit worried when I see that many Cyprians so early, especially considering I did this, aggressive play. He's got Zealots all over the place, kind of combing the different positions. We've got Huracan Cyprian coming. Love to see what HonMonO can do with this. He has been known to be very deadly. He's kind of pinching them off on multiple fronts, and ironically, that's going to potentially get some good damage dealt onto these Zealots at the same time. But, oh my god, he's pulling the Masons! Oh, HonMonO is so committed here! He is throwing down the gauntlet and saying, I am going to kill you, and we are going to play a 4th map. I'm out of here on Patadia. It's so interesting to me because Patadia is a map that we regularly enough see these sorts of almost like cheesy plays on. But let's be real. Oh, this is beautiful. The Huracan should be... Oh, no, it's not quite going to be able to... Oh, he's going to discover that there's like nothing over here, really. I guess maybe the Cyprian, if it's on an attack move, might be able to finish the job here onto the Zealot. Yep, looks like HonMonO will be able to finish that one. We got Wardens, we got Matrixes, and only now are the Masons going to be revealed. Let's see how HonMonO's micro looks, because right about now, he looks very good indeed. The Masons are here. This is a full boys pull. Watch out, that Kabbalist is going to be at large, trying to finish off some of the Cyprians. It only gets one, but look, the Matrix is defended from the Cyprians by the Nexus. We don't have that much firepower left over here for HonMonO, and we have 2 Zealots and a Vagrant on the way for Oya. His Dracodon will be disassembled by those Masons, and it's up for the Matrix next. He needs to be able to actually pressure this out. Is he going to get it? It looks like the answer is yes. He's got Cyprians. Still 3 Cyprians at large. Mason's going to go on to the repair. That's so important right now. Rallying a few more units down from his point. He's got 1 Cyprian, 1 Huracan on the way. You got to watch out for this. HonMonO has 13 workers, but so many of them are in the front lines over here. And I love that he's body blocking the Zealot, but an Ecclesiast goes down, and that's just going to speed things up. The Zealot charging down. The last of the Cyprians from that original attack are gone, and the Huracan Cyprian reinforcements are so far away from helping out the Zealot. We're going to have 2 Dracodons, another Vagrant. Even just this is so deadly. Vagrants are so efficient in these situations because even when you kill them, they come back and start shooting even harder. The Zealot burns alive. Even if these Vagrants go down, like, Oya is fine with this. Because what are you going to do? You've got your my temporary units, and you've got temporary resources. 7 Masons back at home only. This has been so committed, so all in. But I think we can see the writing on the wall. Oya has held. I love that HonMonO went for this, but I am a little bit concerned he might not ever go for this again. I mean, who knows? Who am I kidding? HonMonO has his style. He sticks to it, but it is definitely held. It is over here. Killed a lot of workers, but he did not make that many by himself, and it looks like because he is going to call it GG. I was going to say maybe he knows this is his tournament life on the line. He didn't want to say GG until it was well and truly over, but that is a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. 3-0 for Oya. I thought maybe that the last nail in the coffin for HonMonO wouldn't quite go in. He'd burst out of there like a Halloween era corpse and just start zombifying. But it was not in the cards. It was not in the cards. Oya is able to go 3-0 and move on. He will face the winner of our next quarterfinal matchup, which is the Shambler's Zerg versus Newt's Terran. So we will not see a mirror matchup in that next round. Credit to HonMonO. His game 1 was really good. I love the cut of his jib when it came to game 3. And honestly, I think game 2 is just indicative of his style. He's naturally going to end up dropping some games that are like that. He had 2 of those kinds of games, particularly, I guess, Acid Test. He had 1 kind of game that really was evocative of that against Doglift. So sad to say, but that is just a trait that he has. And maybe he'll tighten things up and get to the point where he can be that greedy and still be successful in holding. It'll be interesting because if you have that style and you ever pivot away from it, people can soft counter or maybe hard counter themselves, blind counter themselves by trying to counter your presumed greedy style, and then you end up going hyper aggressive, which we've also seen HonMonO do. What a wild card. I can't wait to see him play some more Cosmonarchy. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with more.